Hey guys, welcome to the Real Results Show, where we feature real health coaches and health practitioners getting real health results for their clients and themselves. I'm your host, as always, Bryn Burmeyer. I'm a clinical advisor for FDN, and I'm the director of our tribe's awesome association, where we get to support the community with ongoing education regarding a variety of clinical and business building topics. This week, I'm super stoked to have my good friend Kristin Thomas on our show. Kristin completed the course back in 2017 and has been successfully practicing FDN ever since. I'm super excited to for her to share a little bit about her journey into FDN and practicing FDN and being a successful FDN practitioner. So Kristin, welcome to the show.
Thanks. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm super excited to have you on. This will be good. So I'd love to hear a little bit, just kind of kick things off, hear more about, obviously you graduated in 2017, but then how was your experience going through the course? And more so, why don't we start by what brought you to FDN? What was really the thing that attracted you to our tribe?
So I was a patient of FDN before even getting into it. I was really, really sick with my own gut health and hormone health issues. And I just happened to stumble upon an FDN practitioner on Instagram one day and just really liked what she was saying, and did some of those functional lab tests with her. I thought that was super fascinating. And I felt so much better by working through the protocols than I had felt doing anything else on my own prior or with any other practitioners. So I knew that we were onto something. And so I asked her one day, what is this that you do? And how do you get into it? I was in a totally different career at the time. So I kind of just interviewed her on how to get into this space, because it was just clear that this was my calling. I was just absolutely loving it. And so she told me about FDN and sort of her path to get to there. And I basically just followed in her footsteps.
That's fantastic. And what I love about our community, everybody has their story, and we all really share a lot in common. Ultimately, everybody has a story that goes to the effect of, I was struggling with my health. I couldn't find answers or solutions that really helped me optimize and heal. And then I found this functional FDN stuff. And then that's when everything changed. And I just can't think of anything more beautiful or rewarding than being able to learn how do we really heal ourselves, and then being able to turn around and help other people do the same and, walk down that path and take that journey with them. It's just a beautiful thing. So I'm guessing you've overcome most of those health issues through the FDN approach. I'd love to hear more about how the testing model helped you kind of find answers, but then also, have actionable steps that you could take to heal yourself.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I mean, the testing was just worth it. There's not even a value I could place on it, because at the time that I was suffering with my gut health issues, I was asking my doctor, how can we figure out how I can use food and what foods are irritating me? Or, I read, about candida or parasites and stuff. Can we look into that? And he looked at me like I had three heads and told me, no, we're not testing for that. You don't have that. And just completely shut me down. So I had just been shut down for years. And there was something deep in me that was there's definitely something here. There's some piece of information that we're missing. And soon after working with an FDN practitioner, she was very open to running a stool test on me and a food sensitivity test and all these other tests. And, lo and behold, I had a bacteria infection, I had a parasite, and I had yeast, trifecta. And it mapped up, because once I was started to learn about them and, the symptoms and that some of them could actually be linked to autoimmunity and what was going on for me, every light bulb finally went on. And I was like, this is it. These are the answers. And now it's just so cool being in reverse positions and being able to do the same for my clients, because I hear them come to me with the exact same stories. So by being able to really know what was going on in my system and not just putting a Band-Aid with a medication on it anymore, and actually addressing what was irritating my system, that's what put me into full remission. My doctors told me that the ulcerative colitis that I was suffering with at the time would be something that I would have for the rest of my life. And it would just sort of come and go with flares and just kind of be something I'd have to put up with. And my last colonoscopy, they said that, it was gone. They were like, we don't know what you did, And I was like, well, I know what I did. I did a fan.
Yeah.
So that was my real result. Like that was like the ultimate. I didn't even know that was possible, but that's a result of all this work.
Yeah. That just gives me goosebumps. It's super exciting. And unfortunately, there's hundreds of thousands, if not millions, probably more on the realistic side, that, are suffering from a lot of these, chronic conditions that conventional healthcare just doesn't really have the answers to, because it's more of like, well, let's look for a problem that we can diagnose. And again, I say this every week, we absolutely need conventional medicine. I would never say otherwise. But to think that drugs and surgery are the only solution, or then, I always refer to what I call kind of the healthcare spectrum, where, okay, we've got drugs and surgery with conventional healthcare over here, wherever my hand is. And then on the other side of the spectrum, we've got, personal trainers, nutrition coaches, health coaches. And believe me, we need as many of those professionals as we can get. But a lot of times that type of coaching is going to be kind of generic. It's not individualized to what's going on with your physiology, your biochemistry, your metabolism. But that's the beautiful thing through the FDN approach, is when we combine that holistic lifestyle model coupled with the clinical objective data with the lab testing, we are looking for those, root cause, hidden stressors and contributing factors. So I'm sure your doctors were just all sorts of mind blown. And I actually, just as a funny side note, I was going to school full time, pre-med, while working full time as a trainer and nutritionist. And I'm kind of glad, because I would really hate to go to school for that long and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars only to then not be able to actually truly help my, patients, if I went that route, actually heal. And so I don't know. I love that you were able to do that, and whatever it is obviously worked for you. So that had to have kind of lit the fire that inspired you to change careers. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it absolutely did. I mean, I think sort of as I was getting into this journey, I was feeling unhappy with where I was at with my current career. So I think I was already kind of open to, something else. I just had no idea what it was. And when I felt so deeply moved by, everything that I was doing with this, I was like, this could potentially be a path. And there's practitioners that, they're doing this for their full-time job. And so that was really cool to know. And I just felt like I had just been through the ringer with everything that I'd gone through with my health. And it took me so long to get answers and so long to get somebody that would listen to me. And, I just wanted to then be another beacon for people and be able to reach, my community of people and be like, hey, like there is this other option for you if you want to, really get to the root of this and really start to feel better. So that was like my passion. I was like, if I figured it out, like it's my responsibility to now share with others.
I love that, and you're so right. It's a beacon of hope. I always kind of like to think of it as like we become a lighthouse in a very dark world where a lot of people are suffering. And, I tend to get on my soapboxes, and I was talking about this at Paleo FX, where, if you look at life expectancy statistics, our technology has never been better. I think we all know that. Technology has never been better. And yet, for the first time in human existence as a species, life expectancy is starting to waver and starting to go down. And of course, that's just life expectancy. Life quality is a totally different conversation.
Oh, yeah.
But, that's why, like, you and I and the rest of the FDN community are just so damn passionate about what we do. Is we need a lot more of it going on in the world. But anyways, soapbox aside, love to hear more about your experience going through the FDN training and how you enjoyed all of that.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, I cruised through it while I was even doing wedding planning. So that's like how much I was dedicated to it. I was like, this is insane right now, but I was just eating it all up. Like it was just, I had come from a bit of a foundation with nutrition. I had formerly finished doing the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, IAN. So I had like a baseline understanding of some of this, which was helpful. So I feel like FDN was just sort of the next natural progression to like really dive deep and understand, more of the systems and, the chemical imbalances and just more of the intricacies of what was really going on. And then because I think it helped me having worked with an FDN and having gone through the process myself, like as I was learning about hormones and testing and the gut and testing and all this stuff, I was just, thinking about my experience and, the tests that I had run and the things that I had done based on that. So it was really helpful for me to kind of have that context already. But either way, like the information was just so rich. Like sometimes I would just walk away from a training just like mind blown and like have to watch it again because it was so great and it just really makes sense. And it just builds on itself really well. Like we understand the hormone system and then we go into the gut and how the gut is connected to the hormones. And then, we just sort of progress onto each next system and it just builds on itself in a really logical way so that whether or not you have any training in this in the past, like I think anyone could pick up on it and really understand, where we're getting at with all of this. And I'll say what I felt like really distinguished the FDN training from other trainings that I had done was I felt like the moment I graduated, I could instantly begin working with clients on this. Whereas with other certifications, I left and I was like, I don't know what to do exactly because I don't have a format or I don't have a community behind me to support me with questions as I get into this. So I think that confidence building was great, sort of knowing that I had a community behind me to help me do this. But also the training was just so logical that I was like, there's no question that I can't do this.
I love that. And you brought up a number of points there that I think are really important because, I have a lot of people that always ask me, about this FDN stuff. And I think sometimes they get a little bit intimidated because it sounds super daunting with, interpreting labs and protocols and science. And of course, then if they follow me, I tend to be pretty, technical with what I like to talk about. But you're exactly right. Certainly, I think if you have a background in some of these, physiological, nutritional, biochemical, whatever sciences, it only helps. But that's the nice thing is you technically don't have to. I think if you don't have any of that background education, it's probably just going to be more overwhelming. I think it is probably a little bit overwhelming no matter who you are. But I always describe, the level 1 FDN certification course as kind of like a done for you model where we provide you with here's all the intake forms and here's how to use them. Here's the labs, here's the, it's all constructed where you're learning the system in and out. And then you replicate that system with your clients. And what I love about it is even if that's all you ever do is replicate the model that we teach you in the course, you're going to be able to help. I kind of have this like 80% rule of like 80% of people with 80% of their problems. Now, there's always going to be that 20% that might be more complicated. But of course, that's why we have our advanced training, which gets even, deeper in all of that. But that's awesome. So after graduating, tell us a little bit about how you started your practice and your business and all of that good stuff.
Yeah, so I had already had my practice started. I did that after I graduated IAN. But it was within 6 months of starting that I realized I had to do FDN sooner than I had planned to because I was getting people similar to me who had really complex and chronic health issues going on. Yeah. And I knew that it was more than just changing your diet or reducing stress. Like there were some deeper things. So I felt like in order for me to fully step into my truth as a practitioner and to help people at the level in which I knew that they could be helped, that I had to do this work. So, I was very vocal to my community about, enrolling in FDN and what that meant and what I was learning and kind of brought people along in my journey. And that really helped people understand that by the time I graduated, like what I could help them with. And within 4 to 6 months, I think, after finishing FDN, I was at full capacity with private clients and a group program. And I actually had a wait list. And it was because people just wanted to do the testing and they wanted to do the deeper work. And they knew that I was fully practicing what ultimately healed me. And they were really excited about that possibility. So I think FDN just helped me really kind of step into the full practitioner that I wanted to be and help people at the layer in which they were wanting so badly, just like I was.
Totally. I love that. And, I really do commend you. You've definitely been, one of our many graduates, but a real just ideal, great example of a successful FDN practitioner, somebody that, went through it themselves. They believe in it. They're speaking their truth. They're living their most authentic, and they're sharing that energy and they're sharing that light and love with whoever it can reach. And when you do that, that's what happens. People will, if you build it, they will come or whatever. Like that's what happens. And definitely your vibe attracts your tribe. So do you find that with, the healing journey that you went through, that you attract a certain demographic? Do you have a particular demographic or niche that you like to work with, or how do you do with that?
Yeah, I mean, I attract a lot of people that were like me. I work almost exclusively with women, not anything intentional. I think it's just, a lot more women are experiencing gut health issues and or open to getting help with it. Yeah. So I work with women anywhere from like mid-20s upwards of like 60. But it's those who like have had some sort of, awakening to all of this, that there is another option and that food really can be healing. And, they want to figure out what's at the root of this because they've been shut down by others telling them that that's just the way it is, or you're just getting older, or it's just bad genes. And they know deep inside that that's not true. So working with people who kind of already have that awakening, just like I did, and just really just want to get right to work and be like, let's figure this thing out because I'm open to trying anything and everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and, sadly, a lot of times people do kind of have to, either hit rock bottom or, be kind of shut down by a lot of other professionals before they're really, ready to take action. But ultimately, again, it's like all we can do is be that lighthouse of hope. And, they'll feel that warmth when they get the rays of light on them. So I really like that. I think that's great. So you mentioned the FDN community, though, and this is something I always love to, well, I guess it's probably on the back of my shirt. I won't turn around. But, we're not just an educational body and institute, but we're also just an amazing community. So I'd love to hear more about your experience in the community, making friends. You kind of mentioned that, when you work with an FDN practitioner, you really have kind of this whole community at your back. So what's your experience been like in our tribe?
Yeah, so that was something that I was actually surprised by, that there was going to be a supportive community for me after I graduated. Because with my other certifications, I didn't have that. I was just kind of thrown out into the wild and that was it. So it was really great knowing that there was the AF program and that there would be support both on the business side and the clinical side. That was really a big piece of mind for me, knowing that, being a new practitioner and running these labs with clients who are really sick, that it wasn't all up to me to figure this out. So if I had questions about interpreting a lab or working with a tricky client, that I could reach out to the community and sort of benefit from the collective and from other people who had already been there or worked with people similar to that. And to this day, I'm still leveraging that community and benefiting from it so much. And there's just so many great conversations in that group that, I can kind of go back through the archives and see what else people have been talking about and learning from it, even from years ago. Like I'll search through different topical threads and I still benefit from it. So that's been huge. And then just kind of seeing, what other people are doing with their businesses or, what other challenges they're having and knowing that I'm not alone has just been really great. So I love that I can lean on that at any point. And I've started to collaborate with other FDNs now and definitely feel like several of them, we've become friends. And that's just such a great feeling to know that like this is such an open and supportive community.
Yeah, I love that. Well, and also too, you mentioned the AF DMV, so I have to mention that one. So we have obviously all of our graduates. We have thousands of graduates worldwide, but then we have our association of functional diagnostic nutrition practitioners, AFDNP. AFDNP is a lot easier to say. And yeah, the point of that association, as I said in the beginning, is to provide that ongoing support. We don't want to give somebody such intensive training and then say, okay, good luck. Like hope you help people and you do well and you're able to make a career out of this. So that's where we'd love to provide tons of ongoing, both on the science clinical side, but then also even just like How do you coach a person? It's easy enough to run labs and create a protocol, but how do you guide them through the protocol? Or how do you build a business? A lot of us got into this line of work to help people, not necessarily build a business from scratch. And so, we literally just got done with a webinar like an hour ago with the one and only Reed, talking about Strictly Business, which is a monthly webinar that we do. But then, of course, through the medical director program where we do, you run a lab, maybe you want a second set of eyes on it. And that's where you can meet with one of the clinical advisors to get that extra support. So again, all about our power is in our numbers, in our collective consciousness. And we've got, medical doctors, chiropractors, dietitians, acupuncturists, herbalists, health coaches, you name it, we've got it in our group. Even, of course, then just like stay-at-home moms. Or last year I had a trainee that I was mentoring who, I think she was like 20 years old, like the youngest FDN grad I've ever mentored. But it's just amazing to see, like, yeah, this is the new career path. But I think that's awesome. So with your business model, you obviously just, as soon as you graduated, started just crushing it and changing lives and quite literally saving lives. But so with your business model, are you full-time FDN, part-time? Do you meet with clients in person, virtual? How do you do that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'm full-time at this point doing FDN. I was running another business at the time, and I actually just wound it down. So it's been kind of progressing, but I was more so, it was just, I couldn't let go of it. But I'm finally at a point where like I'm just fully able to support myself with this, which is so exciting. I told my husband at the moment that I'm earning more with my FDN practice than my other business, that's the time to shut it down. And I realized that was happening this year. So that was a really big moment for me. And to know that, there's so much demand for this. I mean, there's a lot of alternative practitioners like us out there today, but there's so many more sick people. So I think, I see some practitioners saying, well, there's just so many people out there already. Like, I don't think there's enough demand. There are way too many people out there. Like, we need more people to help. Like, there's no way I can help I have a wait list sometimes. I can't help everyone. And that's also what I love about the FDN community is, if there was somebody that came to me that either I didn't have capacity to help or that was going through something that I, didn't have experience working on, I can refer them to, somebody in the community that I would trust. So it's been really exciting to get to this point. And I work with people 100% virtual. I have local people that I do work with, but even, they say, I love just like coming home from work, getting in my yoga pants, sitting on my couch and opening up my computer rather than having to travel somewhere. So they really appreciate that. And so I've been virtual since day one. And I do both private coaching programs and group programs. And I plan to do some more like VIP day stuff and like in-person events and just kind of broadening what I'm doing this year. But it's just been really rewarding being able to help people like anywhere in the world. I've worked with people in Australia, Sweden, England, like all over the world. It's been really awesome.
That's amazing, and definitely a huge congratulations. I commend you for all that because, you're exactly right. And that's so cool where, the virtual business model is pretty great. I've got to say, I love working from home and I'm 100% virtual as well and kind of similar, but like you said, I mean, the demands, we have this thing going on that I refer to as the chronic disease epidemic. Don't get me started on that soapbox, but that's why we're here is, yes, I'll say it for myself. I am actively recruiting. Like, we need as many FDN practitioners as we can possibly get. So, we do have a lot of people that come through the course where initially they just want to work on themselves. They just want to learn the information to help themselves, maybe some family. It's kind of a hobby or a skill set that they desire. But more often than not, they get a taste for how powerful this methodology is. And then it turns into, just a thriving and super fulfilling career. I feel like we're very fortunate to be able to do this for a living and save lives. So I love it. So Kristin, where can people get in contact with you or learn more about you?
Yeah, sure. So my company, my practice is called Thrive by Food. So I'm Thrive by Food on Instagram and Facebook, and then thrivebyfood.com. So I put out tons of content on all those channels,
Yeah,
as well as my personal Facebook profile. So happy to connect with anyone on any of those.
absolutely. Awesome. So, guys, for those of you listening, certainly, Kristin's kind of a model FDN here, but always remember that you can actually shoot us a message. You can meet with, we have course counselors. You can set up an appointment, decide if this is the right fit for you. I always like to tell people, my virtual door is always open. I really try to lead by example with all this stuff, and I live it, I breathe it, it's my life. But you can go to functionaldiagnosticnutrition.com/counselor, or you can go ahead and enroll in the course, functionaldiagnosticnutrition.com/Facebook Live. But also, we have our very special FDN conference this fall in San Diego, California, Hard Rock Hotel, November 1st through 3rd. I heard we're having a costume party. Kristin, please tell me you're going to be there.
Absolutely. I've already bought my ticket.
Yes. All right. Be thinking about your Halloween costume. I'm still working on mine. We've got a few months to go, but that'll be a good time. The FDN conference. For those of you listening, you don't have to be an FDN. Obviously, yes. I mean, the majority of the crowd are all certified, graduated FDN practitioners. But we have a lot of people, that they're interested. They kind of want to feel it out, and there's no better way to feel out if this is the right fit than immersing yourself into the community, face to face and live, experience the lectures, experience the energy and the vibe of the conference. More importantly, experience the community. Some of my closest friendships and relationships I've come through, the connections I've made through FDN. So certainly if you're interested in coming and hanging out with us in San Diego in November, I mean, that doesn't suck, right?
Not a bad deal.
Yeah, that's not too bad. Well, Kristin, I'll definitely look forward to seeing you at the conference. I'm sure we'll talk sooner. We talk kind of on the reg, but thank you so much for joining us tonight. And more than anything, thanks for being such a great ambassador, for our methodology and being out there helping people.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
Awesome. So guys, be sure to check out Kristin Thomas, Facebook, Instagram, Thrive by Food. Hit her up. I know she's probably got a little bit of a wait list, but I know she's happy to help you out. But definitely, if you know somebody that's suffering, help them find an FDN practitioner. Because it works like magic. It's kind of amazing what happens when you use, really good science and a lot of love.
Yes.
So awesome. Kristin, have an amazing rest of your night. I'm sure we'll talk soon. Everybody else, thanks so much for tuning in. Lisa, I see you. Hi, one of our fellow FDN friends. Thanks for tuning in. Have an amazing night, Kristin. We'll talk soon.
You too. Bye, Brendan.
Awesome. See you guys. We'll be back next week for our next episode. Don't want to miss it. Have a great night.